Hey, it's Shakur. I want to ask you an important question. Have you ever thought why you do the things that you do? Why your life is the way that it is? Why you have the particular thoughts that you have? Why does your friend have a different level of thoughts, have a different level of creativity? Why they were born in a different family? Why they had different resources at their disposal? And why you've particularly developed different habits? Now, if you ask yourself these questions, you do realize that a lot of the thoughts that you have were not your own generated thoughts. They were thoughts that just popped inside your head, whereas different people had different thoughts. And due to those thoughts, they developed different habits and their life took them on different pathways. Now, why do people walk different pathways in life? Why do people get into different circumstances in life? And this is going to be explained by the theory of karma. And I'm going to give you a very scientific overview of karma as well as explain how it impacts your day-to-day life. So this is a symbol that's been seen in a lot of ancient cultures, which is basically a dragon eating its own tail, telling you that the cycle of karma, there's no break into it, and it's a constant cycle that goes again and again. And that is the basic cycle of karma. So say you do an action. Any action that you do, it leaves an impression on the plane of your mind. That action, when it leaves an impression, that impression gets traveled down to your subconscious and it becomes a latent seed for a potential action in the future. It becomes a latent wave. If you see your mind as a wave, because it's a lot of waves of thoughts, and just like when we see in an ocean, the water that's up top goes down sometime and the water that's below comes up sometime. Basically, the ocean just revolves all its water across and across again and again. And so does the mind do that. The mind does that with its thought waves. It turns them upside down and makes sure that it revolves all the thought waves that exist within it over and over again. So it becomes a potent seed, it becomes a latent wave that has the potential to come up. And in process of due time, it comes back in your preconscious as contemplation and you think about it, which in turn turns it into an action once you've thought about it, contemplated on it enough. So say you play a video game that you really liked, you played for 2 hours, or you watched a movie. Now that video game and that movie, they leave an impression on the plane of your thoughts and they'll become a latent thought wave that was something that left a mark on you, that was something that left an impression on you. And now you go do something else. But eventually, since that has become a latent wave, once again, after a couple of hours or the next day or next week, you're gonna start thinking about playing that video game again or watching that movie again if it was really good. And then once you start contemplating about it, it's going to turn into a physical action. Now just explaining the Hindu version of karma and how Sanatan Dharma sees rebirths and karma. They basically say that across your life, you do all sorts of actions. Now you have a subtle body. Say this is your subtle body. And beyond it is the soul. I don't even know how I should, design soul, but say beyond it is the soul. And this is your subtle body. These are all the actions that you did in your lifetime. Now, all these actions, they have a net impact that comes through it. And that net impact could be positive or negative. Even despite being just positive and negative, that could be the energy charge in them. All these actions have a net impact and they come as seeds in your subtle body. Now, depending if the energy charge was negative or positive, your soul will orient itself into another material form in the next life. The soul just stays the same, so does your subtle body, with all the seeds to provide you a conducive environment for all these seeds to grow and flourish again. All these seeds in due time will once again become actions and then they will have a net result. This is how they explain rebirth, and based on how the positive and negative charge was, it's gonna matter what conditions you get born into in your next life. If you were rich, if you were poor, if you were very talented, if you were not so talented, if you were intelligent, if you were not intelligent. Now, I think this is a very interesting concept because any energy that you create, any action that you create, we understand that the subconscious mind stands as a witness to those actions, and it does leave an impression of those actions to the subconscious mind. And once you leave an impression, once it becomes a latent wave, it is bound to come back up again. It is bound to take rebirth again. Any thought that you've had that left an impression on the plane of your mind, you see it taking rebirth again. So even though I don't have personally definitive proof of rebirth, it could very well be a true concept that it does actually happen. And going by Sanatana Dharma, that's how it actually happens. Now, if life is all cyclical and everything that we've done is kind of preconditioned, how do we break away from this cycle of karma? How do we break away from the shackles of our own mind? How do we overcome our very own nature? And that has been, one of the key questions across spirituality in all cultures, in all philosophical and spiritual knowledge. How does man overcome his own boundaries? How does man overcome his own nature? And how does man create true change within himself, herself, and the life around them? So, one of the ways is to actually burn all these seeds so that they don't exist. And the process for that is to meditate. Now, as you meditate, you gain control over your thought process. You gain control over this ocean of thought waves that you have. Once you gain control over the thought waves that you have, it becomes very easy for you to suppress a particular wave from rising and to just constantly keep it suppressed and to make sure that only the waves that you desire rise. And this lets you finally, eventually kill those waves. It lets you burn the impressions left on your subtle body. It lets you burn the impact of the actions that were left on your subconscious mind, on your subtle body. Now, even you would understand something, that your thought process is very cyclical in nature, and say you have a particular bad habit, say you have a habit that you're actually struggling with. It could be anything. Say it's eating chips, right? And there's every once in a while, every couple of hours, you have this craving for chips. Now, if you would see that thoughts are actually, they're not isolated, but they're connected. So thoughts are connected. If you have a desire to eat chips, it exists within a chain, and the chain before it could be stress. The chain after it could be fun. Now, this could be caused by a lot of things: work, a particular type of person, a particular event. But you will realize that this particular desire comes in a particular chain. There's a thought that precedes it, and there's a thought that succeeds it. So if you start paying close attention to your mind, and you can identify the thought that precedes the thought that you're trying to get rid of, you can prepare yourself and in turn suppress that particular wave when it comes, and suppress it so that you don't have to do it. Now, this is something that meditation helps people do, that the yogis gain control over the waves of their own mind, and they're able to suppress the waves that they want. They're able to, welcome the waves, create the waves that they desire to create, and they're able to burn the impressions. They're able to burn completely all the latent waves, all the latent seeds that lie within them. The other idea is desirelessness. Like if you're able to do your actions without attaching yourself to the fruits of those actions, without attaching yourself to the outcome of those actions, and you're truly desire free, you understand that it's your duty to act in this world. It's your duty. Just because you're alive, you have to carry out activities for the greater good of the society that you exist in. But you could care less about what happens to the outcomes of those good actions that you do. Once you become desireless, all the seeds that are over there, they do flourish, they do come to fruition, and they do end up, giving your life the impact that it has to be given. You do get to deal with the energy that you've already created before in the past. But since you're desireless at the moment, all you do is, have those seeds flourish once and then they die out. And then you don't have any new impressions created, any new thing to worry you or bother you or keep you in that cycle forever. Now, the idea of meditation is also explored in Buddhist philosophy when they talk about the Zen. And Zen basically means that you make your mind like the sky, that all the actions that you do are like clouds, all the thoughts that you have are like the clouds on a sky. And what do clouds do? Do they leave a mark on the sky? They don't. They come and they go. So the philosophy of Zen says that you can actually live your life in a way where you can continue to do things, you can continue to have thoughts, be it good or be it bad. But if you do not allow them to leave an impression on your mind, if you're not attached to those thoughts, if you're constantly living in the present moment, you are so disciplined in your mind that you don't think about the future and you let go of the past, but all you learn how to experience in life is this present moment. Anything that you do, like you could literally kill somebody and still not leave a negative impression of that on your subconscious mind, still not have it leave a bad impact as a seed on your subtle body. Now, I'm not saying that you have to kill people. I'm not saying you have to do bad things, because once you learn to do Zen, I think most likely what you would end up doing is good things. But the idea is that if you're truly in the present moment, detached from the past and detached from the present moment, you could do anything without it leaving an impression on your subtle body, without it leaving a thought wave in your subconscious mind that bound to come up again. So you can just exist in the present moment and constantly break free from this cycle. The third idea, which is one of the very beautiful idea, is surrender to God. It's surrender to the universal intellect. It's surrender to the God frequency. And that idea is that meditation is very tough. Being Zen is tough as hell. And all these actions that you take, they can be very tough, they can be very tiring. So you learn the art of surrender to God. You can call it universe, you can call it God frequency, you can call it the universal intellect, you can call it whatever you want. But once you surrender to that universal force that's behind you, ahead of you, that's everywhere, once you surrender to that universal frequency itself breaks you free from the cycle of actions and non-actions. If you surrender control to God, and in whatever way you want to do that, in whatever way you're able to attach or make a bond with God, in whatever culture you practice, whatever religion you follow, if you're able to truly understand the love for God, the faith for God, the surrender for God, all these balance sheets that you have, it becomes GR. GR is God's responsibility. All these seeds become GR. All these seeds that were about to come become GR. All these things that you've done, this wave that you carry, GR. So I want to ask you something. You have limited intellect, you have limited energy, you have limited understanding of the life around you. Why do you want to take responsibility for everything in your life? Why not try to give the responsibility to God and have God share some of the responsibility? But it's easier said than done, of course. You truly have to understand and surrender yourself to God. And parts of it is, learning how to be even-minded through all scenarios in your life. Learning that, when bad things happen, you're not supposed to complain to God. Understanding that whatever comes in your life after that is provided by God, and you wanna accept it. You don't plead to God to change your physical or material circumstances. You don't ask God why certain things happened in your life, but you truly accept it. And once you accept it without asking back any questions, you would see tremendous change in your life. I have seen it personally, and I don't think that I'm completely surrendered to Him, but the very little I practice of it, the very little faith I've practiced, the very little belief that I've practiced, the very little understanding of these concepts that I've practiced, they've brought about tremendous change in my life. And I do feel that the more I would be able to say walk on this path in my life, it would bring about even more change. But you might want to pursue any of the things that that makes sense to you, that you feel the most affinity to. But this video, I hope this helped you understand something about the nature of karma, the nature of your behaviors, how your behavior is like a shackle, how it's cyclical in nature, and how you can overcome it so that you do not constantly suffer through this chain of habit, through this machine of karma that's running your life.